It's now been 3 weeks since the release of Ancient Evil, and when the map first released, it got a lot of praise. Some people even went as far to say it is the next DE, meaning I guess that this map will be beloved by the community, or that it'll stand out as the best map in Black Ops 4. And the question I want to propose today in this review of Ancient Evil is whether or not this praise is justifiable. Could it be that Ancient Evil is just a half-decent map? Maybe even just an okay map? But because it had followed the launch of Black Ops 4, which was plagued by blue screens, and also directly followed Dead of the Night, which was lampooned for its terrible marketing, and came out during one of the greatest community lulls ever, that people were desperate for anything in zombies that was just half decent. So they latched onto it and elevated it to a status of greatness just because people wanted a zombies map to rally behind. That's what I want to explore today. Is Ancient Evil good and actually worth all the praise that people are singing it? Now, a few disclaimers in this review of Ancient Evil. My first experience with Ancient Evil was at Treyarch Studios. Treyarch had flown me out, paid for my lodging, and gave me the opportunity to play this map early. Now, I believe this won't impact my review or create any bias. However, I think it's only fair that I disclose this information, especially if I'm trying to create an honest review. I also haven't completed the Easter egg, so this may limit my understanding the full depth and scope of the map. However, I don't think this should matter considering that less than 1% of players ever really complete the Easter egg on a map. I'd say though, for the general player, the person who is going to play through it and do 90% of the features, but maybe not the Easter egg, well then I'm in a good position to review the map in that sense. Let's kick off this review by discussing the map design. When discussing map design, there's two things that I want to bring up: the layout of the map and the aesthetic. And truthfully, the layout of this map I think is one of its greatest flaws. Typically when a map comes out, the first day it's jarring to navigate because it's new and you don't know the surroundings all that well. And something about this map's layout just never seems to stick with me. It's small enough that I can pretty much navigate everywhere I want, but sometimes it requires a little bit of wandering. Like, I know the basic layout, but sometimes I forget what's on the other side of doors, and I find that every time I play the map, it's a constant refresher of the exact location of this map. Now, this might sound like I'm somebody who's inexperienced in this map, but trust me when I say I've played this map enough that I should know the layout of this map. But something about it just never seems to 100% stick with me. Like, I feel like with other maps, I could sit down with a piece of paper and draw the map out exactly with the layout. I could do it with my eyes closed. I could navigate just by imagining it. Ancient Evil, I just can't seem to do that. And maybe with more time I'll be able to, but something about this map's layout just doesn't stick with me. Part of it might just be the way everything looks. Everything seems to kind of follow the same exact color palette, and everything just kind of feels like a forgettable, cluttered mess. So the layout just hasn't exactly worked with me. And perhaps this is also just because the map is very windy in its nature. There's a lot of corridors. The flow just doesn't feel intuitive. I should also note that there really aren't that many places to play that cater to multiple playstyles. You have one really solid core training area, which is the ritual room. And sure, you can train in other parts of the map, but this to me is where I felt the most comfortable. The map also really lacks good camping spots. I honestly don't know if there are many at all, so if you are a camper, this map just may not be for you. While the map seems to be forgettable in its layout, it definitely is at least beautiful. The aesthetics of this map are pure eye candy. Just on the surface, this map is beautiful, and it's some of the most inspired design Treyarch has ever created. I was worried that Delphi would be just like another Zetsubo, where it's just ruins and moss growing everywhere, but I feel like we're in Delphi right in its heyday, or at least just shortly after its heyday. And the map is based on the real-life Delphi, and they actually do a really good job of staying faithful to how it looks in real life. I also love the sequence when you're flying on Pegasus and going through the navel of Gaia, and then once you enter the center of the Earth, it's amazing. I feel like the center of the Earth is the kind of place that we only dreamed zombies could go to. And Honestly, another plus is that this map doesn't have the same asset issue that we've seen in other Black Ops 4 maps where they're reusing maps. It's not like the GK statue is just randomly in this map. So overall, I think Ancient Evil may be one of the best looking maps we've ever seen in Zombies. I think Treyarch just could have done a little bit better in its layout to make it more intuitive and also cater to multiple styles of play. Now, what about the story? Ancient Evil's story is exactly what Chaos needed. Prior to this map, nobody cared about Chaos. We just wanted Aether. And now I think we've done a complete 180, and instead of wanting to see what comes next in Aether, we actually want to see what comes up next in Chaos. I remember I was on Zombros this week talking to Rizzo, and he said this might be one of the best endings to a season we've ever gotten. And he's not wrong. Treyarch often struggles with the ending of their seasons, and if Ancient Evil is the ending to the Chaos season, it's about as good an ending to a season as they've ever done. This story also immediately grabs us and really pulls us in, showing our crew in a sea of zombies, but they're not being attacked. This is something new that we've never seen in Zombies, and it immediately creates interest. And also, this map has a great plot twist, with the Oracle being Medusa. Now, I know some people are unhappy with this plot twist. Some will argue that it feels forced or that there's a plot twist just for the sake of a plot twist, but I actually really like this plot twist, and I appreciate it for a couple reasons. One is because it's foreshadowed really well. Medusa's head can be found on the shield of Zeus. You can also note that Medusa talks about her sisters. Medusa also has 2 sisters, and the characters are at the ritual site. They're in stone for some reason. So it's foreshadowed really well. My second reason is that it also creates a clearly defined villain. In Aether, I feel like it's hard to know who truly is the villain. Is it Richtofen, Monty, the Shadow Man? In Chaos, now I can say definitively that Medusa is the villain, and I appreciate that. This map also does a fantastic job of scattering Greek mythology through the map. It not only takes a story that's great, but adds layers to it and makes it something that's fun to explore and dig into for, one, the sake of discovering the foreshadowing, but also to see what's to come. Now, I won't go into it because I've already discussed it at large in a previous video, but I implore you to take the time to explore this map. You can go up to murals and different statues in the map, and Medusa will actually explain the Greek mythology behind that object, and then you can listen to what she's saying and see how those themes play into not only what's around you, but what's to come in Zombies. It's fantastic. It builds on the story, develops themes, and adds depth to it. My only knock right now is that the map's story it neglects the Order. They feel right now like an afterthought. Having previously been the main antagonists, it honestly just leaves more questions about the Order. Why exactly did they feel the need to kidnap Alistair and bring him here if they all seem to be on the same team? I mean, after all, Medusa turned them to stone, and why are Alistair and the Order on opposing sides if they want to stop Medusa? It doesn't really make sense. They almost feel forgotten and are really underdeveloped, as if like last minute Treyarch was like, oh shit, we need to include the Order, so they just threw them in as stone statues next to Alistair. I worry that this could be problematic going forward, but we'll have to see. Despite that though, this story is exactly what Chaos needs. It's the perfect ending to wrap up a season. It has a plot twist that doesn't feel entirely forced, and it also has a lot of depth to it that is open for exploration as well as theories. This is exactly what Chaos needed. However, none of that matters if the gameplay isn't good. The first thing you can say about this map is that the gameplay is definitely simpler than Dead of the Night. Dead of the Night had a huge problem where to do basic or necessary tasks, you had to check 20 to 30 different item locations. And I swear to God, you cannot play Dead of the Night without a location guide. Ancient Evil doesn't really seem to have that problem. I never feel like I need a guide when I'm playing this map. Even with the hand, sure there are 20 different locations, but I feel like at some point I usually run into one of them because there are 20 different locations but 4 in the map. So eventually I stumble onto one of them. Now, if you do want to build all 4, you probably are going to need a guide, but that's the only time I ever feel like I really need a guide in this map. Perhaps 20 was a little too many, but it doesn't feel as tedious as, say, Dead of the Night. I will say, though, one thing is that this map sometimes lacks things to do. I can knock out most of the tasks and quests pretty quickly, and after that, I really don't have that much to do besides just keep playing. And like I mentioned earlier, there aren't that many areas that you can play around in. There are no real good places to camp. You also have a hard time camping if you can find a place just because of the boss in this map. He is a bit of a bullet sponge. And the worst part is that sometimes you're going to waste all your ammo trying to kill this guy, and then you don't even get a max ammo out of it, or you're not guaranteed a max ammo. Sometimes you'll get a drop. But I feel like if I'm going to waste this much ammo killing a guy, I need a max ammo, especially in the later rounds. Like once you find yourselves in the 30s, he takes forever to kill. You might not even be able to kill him just with your specialist weapon. So I think that right now is the biggest thing going against this map. It needs just a few more things to do, or ways I can change up and add variety to my play style, because I get kind of just tired training in the ritual room. One thing I've done to change up the play style or just add variety to it is complete the challenges. And the challenges are fun. I like this challenge system a lot. I think it's vastly improved over what we've seen in previous maps. It does give you something to do in the later rounds, but it's not perfect. I think it's a welcomed addition, but it could have been fleshed out a little bit more. So overall, I'd say the gameplay feels like a big thumbs up to me. And when it comes to the Easter egg, which admittedly I don't have much experience in, most people seem to really enjoy it. They've said that the steps are intuitive, and there aren't that many steps that are just nonsense or BS. It's all relatively manageable to complete. I think the ultimate test in how well an Easter egg is designed is whether or not there are many people trying to speedrun it or optimize it. And boy, oh boy, have people been trying to. In fact, there's been what feels like a speedrun arms race between MC Zombies Player and Smart Guy 316, who've been battling back and forth over who could complete the Easter egg as fast as possible. And now people are getting sub 30 times. I think that's the ultimate sign that they've designed a really good Easter egg. There are also just a few other things I like in this map. I think the hands are fun additions to the map. I also really like that the Oracle can reward you, and she can reward you in a number of interesting ways. For example, she's able to open doors for you. They try a lot of really good things in this map, and I think if I were to give a grade to the gameplay, I'd probably give it a B+. So what's my final verdict on this map? There's no doubt in my mind that Ancient Evil is a good map, but I do have a hard time jumping on the bandwagon to call it an amazing map. I don't know, I have a hard time coming up with knocks for this map, but to me it just doesn't have that magic. There's no spark to it that makes me feel like, oh man, I am playing one of the best zombies maps we've ever had. It's a good map, but I just don't know if I love it. And by saying it's the next DE, I almost feel like this map is put in a tough spot. That is a high bar to match, and not to mention, DE has nostalgia pulling for it. And DE, nostalgia aside, may be objectively one of the best maps ever and one of the most well-designed maps ever. Is this map one of the most well-designed maps ever? I don't think so. But it's not a bad map by any means. I do think Ancient Evil is a great map. This is one of those maps that every Zombies fan should own, or at least try once. Like, there's maps in the past that I'd say skip. Like, if you hate searching around for items all day, skip Dead of the Night. This map, though, every zombie player should own, or at least try once. It's not mind-blowing, but it's better than okay. It is a very good Zombies map. That's going to wrap things up for my review of Ancient Evil. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, maybe subscribe for more. I'm always covering zombies, so if you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'll enjoy the next one. Have a great day, and bye.